To be educated.
Not educated, and again, I'm very much aware that in marriage a woman has a submissive role.
Okay.
There are male and female energies and roles and responsibilities.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I'm not knocking any of that. I would never be one of those people that are like, no, everybody's born the same. We're not. It's scientifically, historically,
biologically, everything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's
no doubt, no doubt.
That we
no
have
doubt.
different roles and different responsibilities.
To be honest, in Islam there is. Well, let us analyze before Islam how people used to treat women. Okay, so when the Prophet Muhammad was sent, one of the Arab culture used to believe if you have a girl, a daughter, that is shameful thing. So they used to bury their own daughters alive. Okay. Bury them alive.
And that's, I do want to say, like, there's been a lot of cultures, a lot of bad has happened.
That's what I'm
cultures.
So when the Prophet Muhammad came with the teaching that the way you have a right to live, this girl has a right to live too. You see? Likewise, one of the things that the Islamic had, that a woman was not allowed to inherit from her father. Okay? Islam came, says the way you have a right to get the heritage from your parents, likewise the woman has a right to get heritage from her parents. Okay?
So women can get heritage.
Of course, without any doubt. Likewise, woman was not allowed to own her own business, generally speaking. There's no exception, but generally speaking, woman was not allowed to own her own business. Islam came, said the way man has a right to own his own business, woman has a right to own her own business. Okay? Likewise, Prophet Muhammad said, seeking knowledge, learning, studying, getting education is obligatory upon every Muslim male and female. Not it is something which is recommended, not compulsory for a Muslim male and female to seek knowledge.
Right, that's why I've got a bit
to learn. Now, one of the greatest scholars in Islam, the time Prophet Muhammad, was his wife, the likes of Aisha. Aisha was, when the time of the Prophet Muhammad, they used to differ concerning some issues. His disciples, after he died, peace be upon him, they used to refer back to his wife. She was a jurist, she was a scholar, she was a doctor. So Aisha, likewise in the Quran there is two stories about a great woman, the wife of Pharaoh, because she was a believer in Moses, okay, which Pharaoh rejected Moses. Likewise, the mother of Jesus, and Allah Mary. Allah showed them as a best example for the believers to follow. Meaning they were true worshippers of God, they were following God's commandments, and they were strong in faith. So Prophet Muhammad also said, he said, الرجال أشقاء النساء. Men are brothers or are half of the women, or the same, meaning in the sight of God, men and women are same, generally speaking, okay? In the sight of God. What does it mean? If you do good deed, God will reward you for that, regardless of male or female. If you commit evil deed, it's up to God to punish you, male or female. You understand? So when it comes to judgment, when it comes to in terms of reward and punishment, regardless who you are, man, woman, God will judge you according to your actions. God will not judge you according to your gender, okay? Or your male or female. No. Okay? Likewise, but as you know, scientifically, biologically, man and woman are different. You understand? Without any doubt. And Islam pays attention to that. But in Islam, woman has a right to learn. Rather,
is it encouraged?
Compulsory.
Compulsory?
Yeah. You have to.
Prophet mentioned in a narration, I think he mentioned it, that it's obligatory for a Muslim woman and a Muslim man to seek knowledge.
In the
obligation, you have to.
In the Prophet Muhammad also encouraged his wife to teach. You know, there was many Islamic scholars. You know, there was, and one of the
was Islamic scholars as well. So yeah,
there were many women. There were many Muslim scholars, men, who studied under women, who taught them the knowledge of Islam. But I was going to mention something. Sometimes in Islam, woman has more right than a man. For example, a man came to the Messenger of Allah. He said, "O Messenger of Allah, who deserves my companionship more? Okay, who should I respect more? He said your mother. He said then who? He said your mother. He said then who? He said your mother. He said then who? He said your father. So in Islam, our mother, we respect both parents, father and mother, but the mother has more right over us. Yeah. Because who carried you for 9 months? Okay. You know, who wakes up every night to breastfeed you and to take care of you? Your mother, not the father. So Islam, a man came to one of the disciples of the Prophet Muhammad, and he said, I was carrying my mother on my back and doing, you know, the Hajj in Islam, there's a pillar called pilgrimage when you go to Mecca.
Oh right.
Yes, and you do the circle around the Kaaba. Yeah. So he was carrying his mother and doing that 7 times. Then he came to the Messenger of Allah's companion. He said, do you think I have repaid back what she did for me? He said, what you did is nothing compared to what she did to you. You know? So a woman has
one of her size.
Yeah.
She's giving birth.
Yeah,
even one of the size that she makes.
Yeah.
From the pain. You haven't even paid her one of those.
So a woman has a huge status in Islam, you know, without any doubt. Woman has a status in Islam, and as I've mentioned, God will not judge you according to your gender. God will judge you according to your actions. You know. As for some conscious example, also, some people they think a woman has no right to choose which man she wants to marry, the husband. A woman came to the Messenger of Allah. She said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, I got married to so and so, but my father never sought my permission." Prophet Muhammad said, you are allowed to ask for divorce. She said, no, I don't want to, I'm happy with him, but I want people to know I want people that come after me to know they should not force their daughters to get married. You see, so the daughter has a right to choose, you know, likewise the son has a right. The reason I mentioned that, sister, in our time some Muslims, because of their culture, they force their daughter to get married. She doesn't even like the person, you know. And the Prophet Muhammad said that.
They wouldn't do it to their sons, and that's what
I'm saying. No, but to be honest, some cultures they do it to both, to the girls and the son. They don't discriminate.
You're right. Yeah, some of them young.
Arranged marriage.
Yeah,
married, that's it.
Yeah.
No choice.
See, that's incorrect. That has nothing to do with Islam. Islam gives you your right to choose. You know, you want so and so, khalas. As long the person, doesn't matter his skin color, doesn't matter as long he's righteous, okay, and he has good manners. Prophet Muhammad said, if a person comes to ask the hand of your daughters and is righteous and he has good manners, then marry him off. Otherwise, there will be corruption upon the earth. You know. So a woman, of course, without any doubts, as I have mentioned, that's the justice of our Creator. So I'm saying. But what I want to ask you, sister, what do you think so far about Islam, the way it's been explained to you? Does it make sense to you?
It does. I think I had a lot of misconceptions. You see a lot of things, or you remember when I was telling you I worked before, you kind of come across a different type of Muslim who feels entitled to be a certain way just because they're using Allah's name. And I think that's always bugged me and made me very... Yeah, quite quickly. I can see.
No, it's do you believe in God? Yeah, of course. Okay. Do you have any Christianity background? Or
brought up Christian.
But you don't believe in Trinity, but you believe in there is one God. Okay?
Yeah.
And we can see, sister, clearly that there is a purpose in this life. Okay? Without any doubt, the purpose in this life, the only one that knows is our Creator. Okay? That's why He sent the prophets and messengers to teach us what is our purpose of life.
I'm in the shop now, we're just saying.
Huh? Yeah. The prophets and messengers. He sent Moses, Abraham, Noah, Jacob, Isaac, Ishmael. All of the prophets and messengers, when God sent them, He did not just send them by saying to them, go claim you are a prophet of God without any proofs. Because anyone can claim that. You understand? So God, when He sent the prophets and messengers, based upon His mercy and wisdom and justice, He gave them something that differentiated from the rest of the people.
So, another question. So you've got the Quran, and then you have, is it the
Hadith? Yes, prophetic tradition.
Okay. And they're two different things?
They're both revelation of God.
Okay, so that, I think that's another area I get a bit confused again. So, are they're both from God?
Both from God.
Did Prophet Muhammad write both of them?
No.
No.
Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salatu wasalam, peace be upon him, he couldn't read or write. He couldn't read and write. Even in the Old Testament, he mentioned that a book will be given to someone, and he said, "I'm not learned."
I'm learned, yeah.
Yeah, I learned it. And this historically never happened to no one except Prophet Muhammad. When the angel Gabriel came to him and he said, read. He said, I cannot read. He said, read. He said, I cannot read 3 times. Then he said, read in the name of your Lord, who created you, who created man. Okay? Until the end of the verses. Okay? But the point here is that Prophet Muhammad used to receive the revelation. So the Quran, the wording and the meaning both from God. Okay? As for the prophetic tradition, it was Prophet Muhammad was inspired to say it in his own words. Okay? You with me, yeah? So, but above them is a revelation. Prophet Muhammad used to narrate it or read it out to his companions, and they used to memorize it. Some of them used to write it down. When it comes to the Quran, they used to write it down, read it out to him to make sure there is nothing missing.
So they both kind of came from his mouth.
Yes, correct.
But he didn't write
No,
physically.
he didn't write physically
because he was unable.
He is unable,
So-
and that was specific for him. Because some people say, you know, Prophet Muhammad could not read and write, therefore I'm not going to learn. No, that was specific as a miracle. How a man that couldn't read and write came with a book that is perfect in its legislation, prophecies, miracles, linguistic miracles, and so on. That's why when you look back to, based upon God's wisdom, like Moses, the time of Moses, the Egyptians or the people at the time of Moses, they were known to do magic. Okay, you're aware of that, yeah? Yeah. So when Moses came with a miracle, it was something which is similar to what they were doing, but it was beyond human capacity. Okay, so when they saw Moses, his stick turned into a big snake, the magician knew that is not magic. Okay,
Yeah.
that is beyond human capacity. Okay,
Yeah.
now
He tried to replicate
that's, and they believed in him. Okay, now at the time of the past, which there was no way for Prophet Muhammad to know it except by God's revelation. Likewise, the knowledge of the future. For example, from the knowledge of the future, that Prophet Muhammad narrated or read out the verse in the Quran. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. This Quran was revealed in the way easy for the people to memorize it. Okay, so this verse was revealed at the time of Prophet Muhammad when there were like few people believed in him. He's telling them this book, many people will memorize it, and we know now thousands, 100,000 people, millions memorize the Quran word by word. Yeah, the whole book, word by word, letter by letter. Children the age of 5, 7.
Everyone standing here knows a part of the Quran.
Yeah.
I was like that with the Bible, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, he knows the whole Quran.
He knows the brother here.
Memorize the whole thing.
So we have to understand, sister, yeah? Remember, when God gave this revelation, He promised that this revelation no one will change it. Okay? Why? Now everyone knows after A is B, after B is C. But me, I can get my pen and change it. I say A, O. You understand? But everyone who memorizes it, that's why you can change what is written, or you can change by writing, but you cannot change what is people's hearts.
Yes.
That's what Allah said in the Quran. Allah said, بل هو آيات بينات في صدور الذين أوتوا العلم وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الظالمون. This Quran is distinct verses within the breast who have this being given knowledge. And that's how the Quran has been memorized and also is written down. So the Quran passed down to our generation by generation. The time of Prophet Muhammad, many people memorized it. And they did everything. They sacrificed their life, their family, their wealth to make sure this Quran will be passed down in a perfect manner. No one can change it. You understand? So what I would say to you, sister, I heard the brother was talking about the Prophet Muhammad prophecies. Also the prophecies that Prophet Muhammad came with. Likewise, the Old Testament, Prophet Muhammad mentioned, or the Quran mentioned, that, oh Muhammad, your name and your description is in the previous scriptures. Okay? If we go Isaiah 42, speaks about the Prophet Muhammad. Isaiah 42. If you get Isaiah 42, yeah.
Before that, you're kind of chose to believe that you only take the New Testament and then you created something different and replaced the...
Say it again?
So I think when I was brought up, I was brought up to believe you only take the New
Testament,
Old Testament, cut off, you ignore the New Testament, but the Quran replaces the New Testament.
Quran replaced any book comes before it. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, sister. You know that the Bible's been changed.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. You and I, we know God is the most wise, the most just. Do you think, is it logical and rational for the most wise God to leave us with a book that has been corrupted, or to clarify the truth to us?
You know, I don't know, I have my own personal thing with that, because he's supposed to see the future. Why take us down this road if that was what was going to happen? But
No.
again, that's just another...
Another thing, but
Yeah.
stick to the point, yeah? What do you think? The most merciful God, the most wise God, would he leave us with the corrupted truth, or he will clarify the truth to us? He will clarify the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he said the Prophet Muhammad, yeah. Because you have to understand, sister, there's certain things that God does, sometimes we don't know them, okay? But there's wisdom behind without any doubt. For example, God, the rabbis, they wanted to take care of God's book. So God gave it to them to, and let them to take care of it. But what they did, they were the first people to change it according to their desires. So God knew that, but God, he wants to show that layman and the other people do not believe or trust someone because he shows you something else. But the only one that is able to expose a person's hypocrisy is the Creator. How the Creator does it? By putting a test. You see, that's what Allah mentioned in the Quran about the rabbis. They used to hear the word of Allah and they used to change it with their own hands, just for small of change. You understand? But when it comes to Quran, Allah said He sent it down and He will preserve it, because that is the last revelation which came for everyone.
So how does Islam see the end of the world happen? No, let me get I'll be back in like 2 minutes. I'm just going to get a hot drink.
Oh, no problem, no worries.
I think another one I have to ask is about, is it astrology and magic, witchcraft? What's the
Magic is forbidden in Islam.
Okay.
Yeah, magic is Allah mentioned what was the reason for magic. You know, all of that was the works of the Satan. You know, is to cause harm to the people, and you know they work with the evil spirits, as they call them in English, but in Arabic we call them a jinn. There's two types of
Right, but you've got jinns right now that are protecting, should I say?
No, protecting the jinn or the angels. The angels protect.
So I do know I came across a group who practice. I don't know. I called it magic or something, and they were like, no. What we're doing goes deeper and goes bigger. But it was to protect their brothers, a form of energy.
Some people they play around. They still work with the
Still playing
Satan.
around.
Yeah, they
Okay.
work. No one protects you except the Creator, and the Creator said the angels. The angels are good. Even the jinn, they're like just nation like us. We cannot see them. They've been created in a different way than us. Some of them are believers, some are non-believers. Understand? But some of them say, as long as they are jinn believers, then you can ask them for help. But the point here, you are dealing with the unseen, and you cannot trust them, because how do you know they are believers? You're not dealing with something you can observe. You know what I'm saying? So magic is forbidden in Islam. Allah mentioned in the Quran that Sulaiman, the Prophet Solomon, he never disbelieved. Rather, the Satan disbelieved when they start teaching the people, or there were two angels came, the Babylon, at the time of the Babylon came, and they start showing the people that magic. They said, but do not learn it, because that is a disbelief. Okay.
So that goes for, fortune telling, stars.
All of that, or a fortune teller. The Prophet Muhammad informed us. He said the fortune teller, how he gets the news. Okay, sometimes he tell you something that can happen. Okay, he said he works with this jinn, and Allah gave a jinn a power that are able to reach the first let's say, for the sake of argument, the floor of the first heaven, so they can hear what the angels are speaking about. When Allah decrees something, He will tell the angel Gabriel. Then the angel Gabriel, he will tell the other angels. So they start speaking about it. So what the jinn do, they will steal some of the news and they pass it down to the other jinns. And the jinn will take it to the fortune teller. And what the fortune teller do, he will mix the one truth with 99 of falsehood. You understand? Yeah. So fortune teller is forbidden in Islam without any doubt. Likewise magic is forbidden in Islam. Sister, so, you know, I always mention this example. I don't know if the brother mentioned it to you, yeah? You know that you should worship God and be grateful to God, correct? I always mention this example. If I give you £2 million as a gift, I say, you know, I've been having a nice discussion with your sister, you know, you're very respectful. I'm a trillionaire, I will give you £2 million as a gift. What would you say to me at least? You say thank you. All right. You will say thank you, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I will give you £2 million on the condition. Oh, you let me first. If I give you £2 million, when you buy a nice house, you're gonna remember my name, Shamsi. You're gonna get married. You're gonna buy a nice car, Shamsi. Shamsi. You're gonna remember me all the time because it's a big money. Yes. Now I will give you £2 million on the condition. Give me your two eyes. Will you do that?
About to God or to a man?
To a man. No, go. Because why? Your eyes is more valuable than anything else. You understand? So why we are not grateful to the one who gave us two eyes for free? You see what I'm saying? You know, if someone came, so it's your sister. If someone came now, tried to kill us, we will do anything to save our life because the life is so dear to us. So why we are not grateful to the one who gave us a life for free? That's the first part. A person will say, yeah, I want to be grateful to God. I want to worship God. But the second question, sister, if you want to buy a gift for your mother, would you buy a gift that you love or your mother love? Your mother love, of course. Your mother love, of course. You're not going to buy something you love because you want to give it to her to please her. No problem. Now, likewise, if you want to worship the Creator, you should worship Him the way He loves, not the way we love. Because the way we love is subjective. The way He loves is objective. That's why the Creator sent the prophets and messengers to teach us how to worship Him.
One more question, then I do have to go. Okay, so I get that the word has never been tampered with, it's never been changed, it's as direct and as today as it was back in
The word of the Quran?
Yeah, the Quran.
The Quran, yeah.
I'm making another assumption.
Okay.
That somewhere in the Quran it says it's okay for young people to get married. Now I'm going to assume that was in around the time where people were dying probably before they were 30 and marriages and a lot of other things happened at a lot of the younger age. Moving forward to our time, or maybe London should we say, where
not
that's
everywhere.
a necessity to be married, and it's actually against the law to marry below a certain age there.
In Islam, Prophet Muhammad said, do not harm yourself and do not harm others. Okay? Likewise, in Islam, Muslim scholars talk about marriage. What is the age of marriage? Okay? And here shows us that Islam is a religion that is suitable for every society and every time. Islam doesn't come with the age 18 or 20. No, Islam gives you criteria. If the woman physically and psychologically ready to get married, then there is no harm with that. Okay? Physically and psychologically.
But can I put something down, especially as a woman who feels and can present as ready for things that until you're later on in life you do not know you was not ready for.
Yeah, but
and that happens a lot with young girls and presentation.
Yes, but it's not for girls here because marriage is not just for the girl to decide I want to get married. It comes out to the parents, likewise to the society. Okay? And without any doubt, the parents, they want good for their daughters. Okay, so even sometimes maybe she's physically ready, but mentally she's not ready.
So they would hold back a parent.
They would. So the
back.
parents.
Okay.
That's why in Islam, the daughter, she's not allowed to get married without her parents. She has to, because the parents wants the best things for her daughter. You understand? For their daughter. Okay. I'm talking about marriage, but it's up to the daughter if she wants to marry so and so and so and so. You with me? Okay. So now, why I say that Islam legislation is suitable for every place at every time. Now in this country, in London, the age of marriage 18, 16, 18 with their parents' permission.
Yes.
Okay? Now what we have to understand, the whole world is not London. Okay?
That's what I was saying, is it not adaptable? I don't want to use that word.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. So Islam came, okay, in London, the concept of marriage, yeah. So the people, the authority, the parents, okay. In our society, girls will not be ready to get married except on this age. Okay, that's according to society. But you cannot bring your own way, try to impose it on the whole world. Why? Because the whole world, society is not London. You know, Africa is different than Europe. Europe is different than Asia. Asia is different than South America. So Islam says, this is the criteria. If psychologically, biologically, physically ready, with the parents also, and the people authority, then you do it. You see. So Islam, we don't have this marriage of children. It's not true. You understand? Yes, in Islam there is something which called, because I have to be honest with you. In Islam there is this practice, which was even European time. Okay, I mean before in Europe, even our time. For example, this is a brother that I know him very well. Okay. My son, I have a son. Okay, like for example, I have a son. He's 17, and his daughter, she's 2 years old. Okay, 2 years old. So I said, look, you're a good man, a good family. It will be my pleasure to my family for my son to marry your daughter, but there's no marriage consumption. We cannot consume the marriage.
Consummate, yeah.
Consummate the marriage. That's what. Yeah, consummate the marriage. That's the word I'm looking for. So what you do?
And then what if his daughter grew up to say, "No, Dad, I'm not on it."
Is allowed to
Finishes
them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they say. So the father will say, okay. The father will say, okay, Shamsi, you're a good person as well. It will be my pleasure as well to be part of your family. Let us do contract. The scholar said, like what you said, on the condition when the girl she's reading now, mentally and physically, she said, okay, my dad, I'm happy with it. My dad, I'm not happy with it. Stop. You see?
Okay. You said
So what do you think?
yeah.
Let me ask you now. Okay. Does it make sense to you what I said so far?
Yeah.
So if I tell you what is stopping you to become Muslim, what would be your valid excuse?
I find if you strip any religion down to its core principles, they're all the same.
In a
What
way,
you're telling me isn't any. I'm not
I agree with you. In a way,
blown away. Does that make sense? But again, I've had a 10-15 minute conversation with you where I know the other guy that was talking, he knew about the prophecies.
Yeah.
And you could tell when he was talking that he experienced or believed the tangibleness of how it was in us. And I'm not saying that's not from you two either, but I think I would have to have an understanding of what he was talking about.
For example, the prophecies where he's saying, I'll give you another one, which I don't know if you mentioned it. There's a prophecy that Prophet Muhammad mentioned, which is, I always like to quote this prophecy, it's a powerful one. Prophet Muhammad mentioned, he said there will come a time when a man will make up a lie by the morning. In the morning, by the evening, his lies will reach the east and the west. Sister, you know, we're talking about 1,400 years ago. Back in those days, in order for me to travel from London to Cardiff, it takes me 2 days. Let alone from one lie to go to the whole world in 1 day. Now, make up a lie, put it in WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, China, America, Algeria, Morocco, everywhere. So the question you ask yourself, how men that lived back in those days knew about something which is precise, that we can observe it, understand? We can see that clearly. And there's many prophecies that Prophet Muhammad mentioned. Likewise, the prophecies, which is, for example, he said there will come a time when the Arabs, they will stop using the camels as a riding beast, and they will use something which is like a carrier that will carry them with their family from the house to the mosque. The scholar said without any doubt, if you go to the Arab world now, they don't use camels as before. They use what? Cars. That's why we as Muslims, we do believe Islam is the truth. Not because one day I had a dream, not because we have a tangible proof that we can share with you and with everyone else, and you can observe it with your own eyes. Like I said,
I'll give you that. When I went to Dubai, I never felt more protected.
You went to Dubai?
Yeah.
So you saw the tallest building?
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad.
That's how I knew what you were talking about.
Yes.
I jumped on
So you saw it then, you experienced it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you observed the prophecy which Prophet Muhammad spoke about. Why was going to come back to the point you mentioned about if you strip off all the religion, it goes back to the same root. That's correct. However, yes, I believe if I was alive at the time of Moses, if I followed the true teaching of Moses, I will go to paradise. That's why I would say those who believe in Jesus, Moses and Jesus correctly, they will go to paradise. However, those teaching, for example,
The Abrahamic faiths have been distorted, so right now you can't quite
no,
worship them.
I will not use this term Abrahamic faith because Abraham was not a Jew.
No. When I say the Abrahamic faiths, I mean the ones that come off of believing that.
Yeah, Abraham. All of the reference to Abraham, yes. But Abraham, Allah sent the Quran, he was, or a Christian.
No.
What was he?
Hebrew.
No, he brought his term. No, I'm talking about his belief.
He had a direct.
He was a Muslim. Yes, you know why? Many people when he say he was a Muslim, think Muslim believe in Prophet Muhammad. That's what he means. Or Muslim is an Arab, Pakistani.
So there was one.
All the prophets and messengers were Muslim, sister. You know why? Muslim mean is an Arabic terminology. In English mean to submit your will to the will of God. Yourself to the will of God. That's what it means.
Okay, that's the first thing you said that's giving me time to go and research.
You see what I'm saying? What we say to sister, yeah? I always give this reminder to the people, yeah? You know, we're not ready for death, but death is ready for us. And I always mention this, yeah? Always. The reason I mention this because we do experience it. Maybe you know your family or other your friends. How many people left their houses? They never come back. They were surprised with death.
Sunday I was stuck just before
Subhanallah.
the shop came. Yeah, and I swear I left my bag in the car.
Okay.
So I had to go up, reeled up everything. I've never done this in my life. I'm like, where's my purse? Where's my purse?
Subhanallah.
So I've had to go back to the car park in the Lidl's to come. I've paid as I've come out.
Yeah.
The man's gone like that in front of me. The police have stopped him, but they're like, get back, get back. I'm like,
She forgot her bag and she doesn't.
Be grateful to God, man. God allow you to
You
live.
don't understand the gratitude I've had to show this whole week.
Listen, sister.
Every day.
God allow you to live, and you come to meet us today.
I know. And this is the first time I said, I'm never going to Streatham again, I'm never going to Streatham again, but my
Subhanallah.
phone broke. And I've had to go to that shop there.
As far as I tell you, my sister, my family, she's a revert. My wife, she's a revert. And she became Muslim. And I'm telling you, sister, Islam goes in line with the sound reasoning and the sound intellect and the sound natural inclination. That you know that you should worship one God alone. You know that you should worship God according to the will of God. That's why when you become a Muslim, there's two testimony, which is when you say, I bear witness there is no one worthy of worship except Allah, the true God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the last messenger and the servant of Allah. This is a testimony, because in Islam, Allah mentioned the Quran, Allah mentioned that Allah will never punish people until the proof has been clarified to them.
I know that. That's why I'm not ignoring you, because I know that one.
That's what I'm saying.
You can get away with it, but when you're called, you're called. If you
That's
say no,
it.
that's
a justice.
Okay.
And
so I'll give you, like I was saying to you at the beginning, I've always found there's been a block with Islam. I like to learn. I need to identify what I'm understanding, how I'm going to apply it in my life. For me, that doesn't come very well from some man with a book shouting it at me. I have to have my own understanding to be able to research or resource or
Allah mentioned that in the
connect
Quran.
and lots of different ways. That's just how my brain works.
No problem, no
So
problem.
whenever I found that I get told, and again you've given me a Quran that I'll be able to understand, and I said it's the first time ever I've been given that.
Even
But
there's,
I've never been able to read it or come to an understanding. So I suppose today this will be my first. Not got that one.
you have it. Alright, that's a good one. Woman
First
Islam.
time that I will be able to read for myself.
And look at
and I
it
do
yourself.
have a lot of misconceptions that you have
She has my wife
put
contacting
away.
me.
But again, I still, before I can commit to something.
But what I will tell your sister as well, that is not a condition that for us to know everything before accepting Islam. You understand? I always mention this example. You know, it's like a cake. You know the cake, if you eat all of it one time, of course you're gonna vomit. Yes? In order for you to feel the sweetness of the cake, you take it bit by bit. Also the point I was gonna say, that when the foundation is clear to you, sister, then for you to learn everything, none of us here knows everything about Islam, yes? But when the foundation is clear, then you know you're upon a clearness. You're upon if the foundation of my house is
correctly and things clear up and come freely and move easily.
read more, sister. You have my wife's number.
Yeah.
Get in contact. I will speak to her, inshallah. Be in contact with her, like from your people, okay? You can use it together. Connection. Inshallah, yeah.
So yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sister.
Have a good, safe
I pray to Allah
weekend,
bless you.
good night.
You too.
I will be in touch.
All right,
yeah?
I will speak to her.
Don't forget to let her know, Jade.
I will. All right, what's your name?
Jade.
Jade. All right, cool.
Pray as well yourself. Ask
Yeah.
for that guidance.
Pray to the Creator.
I will definitely
see it, inshallah.
next
All right, take care, sister. Thank you very much.